Hey, School Transportation Nation, welcome back to the podcast. It's brought to you by Transfinder, the leader in school bus routing. Our sponsor, First Student, the nation's leader in student transportation solutions, and our friends at Vera Mobility. They're helping keep kids safer with stop arm solutions. I'll be talking a little later with President CEO Antonio Civitella of Transfinder. Be talking about AI and the future of AI. It's a hot topic lately. And also talk about top transportation teams making some announcements at the upcoming STN EXPO in Reno. And we've got Mr. Ryan Gray on the podcast. He's busy putting the finishing touches on the schedule for STN EXPO Indianapolis. We leave in a day, Ryan, right? We're coming up on it.
Yeah, it's upon us, and yeah, lots of last minute, fine details that we're completing, but basically, it's all ready to go, folks. So, if you have not registered yet, hey, you can still show up on site. We'd love to see you. Head over to stnexpo.com/east. You can check out the full agenda, all the happenings that we have going on starting this weekend, and we'd love to see you there. Our friends at registration will be glad to help you out.
Yeah, and I mean, this is going to be like a full episode preview of everything happening at STN EXPO and Green Bus Summit. So we'll just dive right in. We got our Transportation Director Summit kicking off. We've got a great leadership discussion. I really am going to lead the conversation. We're going to really talk about what are the challenges facing school transportation leaders today and really dive deep on that. And, it's all about peer-to-peer networking. So when you get together with other transportation directors, I always hear, hey, I get so much value out of talking to my peers about the challenges they're facing and the solutions that are presented. Because, when you're at events, you can really crowdsource and say, has anyone dealt with this? And maybe it's not the exact same scenario, but it may generate ideas. It may generate some thoughts. It may inspire you to bring back something to your team, to have that kind of conversation, to really help set the ball in motion to address some of these key challenges. So that's really some of my big stuff, Ryan, especially at the Director Summit. We also try to put people together with key supplier partners because everybody's looking to solve a problem, maybe throw some technology at it. Maybe they're looking at electric buses, maybe propane buses, maybe they're looking for a video camera solution. I know when I looked at the data, we survey our transportation directors, and the number one thing people were looking for was driver safety and training solutions. It was like 65% of the directors. I thought, wow, okay, really great. So people are really wanting to invest in their drivers and the safety and the training, which really comes back to a lot of the things that you put together, Ryan, in your agenda around that kind of subject matter. So you want to give the audience a little flavor, a little more deeper dive into some of the sessions that they can expect at STN EXPO Indianapolis?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as you mentioned, Tony, our TD Summit will be there, Transportation Director Summit. We have our Green Bus Summit that we're launching this year. Of course, that's been in Reno for several years now and dates back to when we first launched it in 2015. Crazy that it's been that long. But we're going to be introducing that to our audience out there in Indianapolis. And, one of the big elements that we're looking at, aside from, this big push to green, right? We're in the midst of the EPA Clean School Bus Program competitive grant, right? Goes through August 22nd. You can get your applications in. So certainly there will be a lot of discussions around that during our Green Bus Summit on June 4th. But, we're also looking at diesel. Diesel's still here. 85% or so of the industry is still diesel. And we're staring in the face the latest EPA emissions regulations that go into effect in 2027. What does that mean? Now, there's been a lot of editorial, a lot of conversations you and I, Tony, have had over the past several weeks, several months around this topic. And there's going to be a session that I'm actually moderating. I'm going to be joined by Bill Griffiths, who's the VP of Fleet for Beacon Mobility, one of the largest school bus contractors in the nation, and Bobby Williams, our friend down at Cyfair ISD in the Houston area. He's the Assistant Director of Fleet Services down there. And really, they're the experts. These are the guys. I mean, we're going to be talking to two gentlemen who combined have purview over, nearly 12,000 vehicles. More when you're looking at like White Fleet and other vehicles. Beacon alone, its companies, Beacon itself does not operate school buses, but its companies do in several states throughout the Northeast and the Midwest and in California. And then Bobby, the largest fleet of school buses in Texas. And they still have a lot of diesel, even though there certainly is that green movement. We've reported that Cyfair implemented 365 propane buses just a couple years ago. They're bringing in electric. They're applying for the grant money to get electric. I believe there's some on order actually that are coming in right now. Beacon has 10 electric so far in their fleet. So certainly these gentlemen are looking forward at new fuel and energy. But the fact remains that the industry has to continue using diesel, especially in states not called California. New York, we know that they have a mandate, but that doesn't go into effect till 2035. As I reported in the June issue that's coming out this weekend, I spoke with John O'Leary, the CEO and president of Daimler Trucks, and he told me, and this was reiterated by a few other people I talked to at ACT Expo in early May, that's probably mid to late 2030s before we actually see a sunset of diesel. That means we're going to be operating these buses for, I was talking to someone the other day, ostensibly when 2050, 2060 rolls around, there's probably still going to be diesel school buses in operation on the roads throughout America, at least in some fashion. So we got to look at what does this mean when we are staring in the face another mandate adding more emission controls to diesel engines, which is going to drive up the price. We've been going through this cycle dating back to 2010, 2007, really, initially, when EPA really started hammering down on the emissions. So what does this mean to operations? What does it mean to maintenance? What does it mean to the technology that's being used, to maybe technology that's not being used but needs to be used as we look more toward a predictive maintenance program rather than preventive? All those types of discussions will be had during a session that we're going to have on Monday, June 5th. So certainly that's a hot button issue that folks have to deal with now before a lot of them can even wrap their heads fully around electric. Now, with that said, we need to keep in mind last week, Republicans in Congress, they passed a resolution to essentially overturn this EPA regulation using the Congressional Review Act. Now, it's not expected to work, though the legislation is headed to President Biden's desk. At this recording, it was still, conjecture, but Biden's likely going to veto it, right? This is something that is a big priority of his administration. But still, it's something that we need to talk about. And, likely by the time that we have the event in June, it might already be vetoed. Though it's kind of interesting. We have an article on STNOnline.com about this. And Ken Presley, who's the Vice President of Legislative and Regulatory Affairs for the United Motor Coach Association, he said last week that this issue, because it's a direct impact on small businesses, that's really why the Republicans in Congress are fighting this rule, that this could set the stage for a lot of debate on the 2024 presidential campaign trail.
Ryan, one of the things we saw happen when the regulations changed, I don't know if you remember it, right? The 2010, there was a huge pre-buying cycle. People were buying buses as fast as they could because the price of the buses were going to go up by almost $10,000, $12,000 a unit. Now we know that's going to happen again. The cost of these buses are going to go up.
Yeah.
So are we going to see a huge pre-buying? And Tim Ammon said it last week. He said, man, I sure as heck don't want to be going electric. So I'm going to load up on as many diesel buses I can get my hands on until they sunset them, right? Is it going to be the perfect storm, regulations and people wanting to get these buses before they're off the shelf? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, and I'm hearing, not 10 or 12,000. I'm hearing 30,000, 30, with, some of that 10,000, maybe a third of it going just to the emission controls. But we're looking at through this regulation, they're extending the warranty periods. So the manufacturers are going to be building these costs into that price. So, we really need to wait and see on exactly how the costs come down. But you're right. I talked to Bob Podluski, who's our technical editor and a longtime executive in the school bus business. A lot of folks remember him from his days at Laidlaw when he ran the procurement and maintenance for them. He mentioned it back in December when EPA first published the final rule that he envisioned a lot of pre-buys, similar to what you said. And that's going to be part of the conversation that we're going to be having in Indy. And what also is interesting to me about this is in the meantime, we're hearing from all the OEMs who are saying, oh, we're ramping up production for electric. And we're going to be able to do this many electric buses by this date. Well, again, but if you're looking at especially over the next 2-3 years, we have this significant pre-buy where all these orders are going in for diesel. Amid the EPA continuing to empty their pockets of this $5 billion Clean School Bus Program fund, there's going to be some competing priorities there for manufacturers.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting play, Ryan. I do think that there are people that love electric and there are people that are completely against it, right? They are just like, look, this is not the right fuel for us.
Yeah, and I think there's people right down the middle of the road that are interested, they're intrigued, they see a use case for certain applications, certain routes, certain areas, but they also recognize that it's not going to work for all of their routes. I was talking with Mike Bullman, who's the director of transportation for the South Carolina Department of Education. I mean, he is in charge essentially of one of, at least on the public side, the largest fleet of school buses in the nation at 5,600 buses. And then they have all the other vehicles. He's looking at it and he said, hey, you know what? He's a big proponent of electric. They're bringing in, I think he said, about 260 electric buses from the rebate last year. They're going to be continuing to apply with the competitive grant that's this year. And we know that there's a rebate again coming later this year. But he said, it works in certain areas. And the technology is not there where it needs to be yet. The range obviously is not where it needs to be yet. We're still figuring out a lot of things with utilities. Traditionally, it's always been hard to get utilities to work together. I mean, these are separate companies. They have their separate entities. There's private, there's public, there's co-ops. There's all these different priorities that these companies have because that's what they're for-profit companies in the end, whether they're propped up by public government or not. And, they've never had a reason to talk to each other. And now with V2G, that promise, yes, there is a lot of promise to it, but there is a lot that needs to be figured out. And we've reported on this pretty extensively, Tony, where we've talked about some of the problems with V2G is there's no rate structure yet. And maybe one utility has it in one part of the nation, but the others certainly don't. It's not where it needs to be. So there's, again, we're in a learning curve. Certainly, electric is not going away. We know that. I think that's, more than an educated guess. But we have to look at the reality. And school buses, they're different from our vehicles. Our private vehicles are an extension of ourselves, right? Tony, I mean, you have a nice car and you take pride in it, right? It's a reflection of you. You make sure it's washed and clean and you baby it. School buses, maybe to a degree, but school buses are tools, right? If the tool doesn't get the job done, industry is going to find another tool that does. School districts are going to have to find another tool that does. School bus companies certainly are going to have to use a different tool. So that's what's really going to prove out. I really feel that it's going to take a village approach. Like, I've mentioned it before in my columns. Yeah, there's going to be electric. It's going to work out great for some folks. electric's not going to work for others. Propane certainly has made an impact over the last decade, especially with the feasibility, the cost efficiency, the infrastructure is a lot less. We also have some folks out there that are tried and true CNG lovers. And granted, those numbers are very small and they're not likely to grow significantly, but there are folks that, love CNG. Now, the problems with CNG, talking about infrastructure, that's like $1 million. So, I mean, even that electric pales in comparison to a lot of that. But, the bottom line is that it's just, it's going to take a varied approach. And it really, just like operations are all different and they all operate differently, they're going to have different fuels. They're going to need different fuels, different energy to get the job done.
Ryan, before we dive any deeper into the headlines, I want to bring you a message from First Student, the nation's leader in student transportation solutions. First Student's approach to transportation provides your district with a local team with a national support network, collaborative planning, and customized services that keep your fleet operational and your students safe. First Student moves more passengers per day than all U.S. airlines combined. Caring for students is their top priority. And as the leader in electrification, they recently reached another major milestone by driving 1 million electric miles. Guys, you can learn more by visiting firststudentinc.com. That's firststudentinc.com. All right, we're back. Round 2, Ryan. We're going to be talking a little more about STN EXPO. But before we do that, I want to also mention, guys, the June issue. It's our green bus issue. It's chock full of information. It's coming out on June 1st. You may be listening to this, it's not June 1st yet, but on June 1st, go to the stnonline.com website, check out that hot new June issue. There's tons of information there. We got a full overview of STN EXPO Reno, July 14th through the 19th. We got our early bird registration, save $100 coming up on June 9th, stnexpo.com/west. So much going on, Ryan. I mean, it's coming at us from all directions. We got a great lineup in Reno as well. I know you've been putting together a really comprehensive general session with the EPA, DOE, Department of Energy, and our folks at NREL, kind of unpack and talk about the clean school bus program. And we even have like a data scientist who is basically part of the program's creation. And I don't think we've really had anyone at that level. Mm-hmm. And then we also have someone on the actual technology side that's kind of this in between. So what's going to happen at that session?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be moderated by Abby Brown of the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. She's the transportation research lead there. And it's going to include Michael Laughlin. So those of you who came to Reno last year, Michael from the DOE, he's the manager of vehicle integration. He moderated the panel. If you remember, we had Esperanza Perez from EPA Region 9 that oversees California, Arizona, and Nevada. We had Sue Gander from the World Resources Institute, Stephen Whaley from the Propane Education and Research Council, Daniel Gage from the National Gas Vehicles of America, talking about kind of the path going forward. Michael's going to be a panelist this time. And we're also going to add some school districts. So don't want to tip the cap too soon on those, but we're going to have a conversation around of course, the Clean School Bus program. We'll have a short kind of overview just to get people up to speed, because again, by the time we're in Reno, we're a month and change away from when those applications are due. Those are going to be due August 22nd. So certainly an opportunity for folks to get some more information if they haven't already started that application process, but more so really kind of hear from the folks, like you said, that are involved in crafting this program and administering it, and talking to some folks that have both benefited from it or look to benefit from it. So that's going to be Tuesday, July 18th. That's our opening morning general session. That's, of course, our trade show day. So it's going to be, a full day of fun and energy and lots of learning and networking. So that's going to be kind of the highlight of Tuesday. On Monday, we have a full day sessions I know you're talking with Antonio Civitella of Transfinder. They're going to be doing their lunch and learn. You mentioned developing the culture for high-performing teams. We're going to be looking at student data privacy. That's a big one, talking about data. We're going to be looking at what goes into developing a modern fleet sustainability program. So not just a fleet replacement program, Tony, but looking at all of these factors that we're talking about, right? The upcoming, diesel emission regulations, all this grant money out there, weighing, the safety versus the cost, looking at how technology is factoring into operating fleets, maintenance, a move from preventive to predictive is on the horizon. Really, not so much a presentation, but a crowdsourcing opportunity, kind of a thought-leading session to allow folks in attendance to really discuss and bounce ideas off each other and ask questions. So, between that, I know we've extensively talked about our keynotes. Tracy Brown, Liar Pants on Fire that day. Body language expert. Of course, she's going to be leading the training at our Transportation Director Summit on July 15th, but she'll be back there on July 17th for her keynote. And then the following day, Tuesday, July 18th, we have the lunch keynote, actually. So we're going to be serving lunch before the trade show. And John Van Driel, an acclaimed school psychologist and school security expert, is going to be talking about youth aggression, identifying risk factors and prevention strategies on the school bus. So, just a packed schedule. I think, we have over 36, I put on the website the other day, learning opportunities, networking opportunities as well. We have our green bus ride and drive. We're going to have propane and electric out there, given our Green Fleet Awards. Just, tons of fun in store for the folks in Reno.
Yeah, and our trade show, Ryan, it's sold out. We have almost 120 exhibiting companies. And I know for a fact there are brand new buses that are going to be launched. You guys have never seen these vehicles before. They are launching brand new things. There's some really cool stuff that's going to be there. It's a must-attend event, guys. You want to see the latest and greatest? You want to see it? It's happening at STN EXPO. No one else has it. We will have it first. Also, I talked to Ford Pro, and it sure sounds like the new Type A Ford Pro is going to be at STN EXPO. Might even be in the Green Bus Summit Ride and Drive. Guys want to ride on the new Ford Pro? Collins? Just maybe. You're going to have to check that out. First time experiences, guys. That's on July 16th. We'll have a lot of these buses in the ride and drive. No one will have seen them or ridden on them before. It's going to be a first time experience, something to post on social media. Get out there, hashtag STN Expo. Give us some love. We want to make sure you guys get there, get the most out of your experience with us. It is absolutely imperative you come this summer to STN Expo. You cannot miss it because you're going to miss out on something special, guys. It's an amazing experience. We couldn't do it without all our sponsors. There's so many that are part of the event. We're really pumped for this really exciting opportunity. But before I get to the interview with Antonio Civitella, I want to bring you a special message from our safety partner, Vera Mobility. Crossing Guard Solutions. Guys, if you're concerned about safety for your students at school bus stops, are you struggling to force illegal passing incidents? Vera Mobility Crossing Guard Solution can help. Designed specifically for school bus safety, this turnkey solution reduces stop arm running and provides end-to-end support for transportation departments, school officials, and law enforcement. Crossing Guard safety programs are violator funded, so there's no upfront cost to your school district or company. Visit veramobility.com/government to customize your school bus safety package today. That's VERRA mobility.com/government. Let's zero in on safety and keep our kids safe. All right, guys, excited to bring to the podcast Antonio Civitella, President and CEO of Transfinder. Welcome, Tony.
Hey, hello, everybody.
Excellent. Well, it's been a bit since we've had you on. So I know we've been working feverishly on some great projects. You guys have been busy over at Transfinder. Talk to me. You got a new product you're launching, Service Finder. I know you've had Service Finder, but you've tuned it up. You've sprinkled, you got the sprinkles, the chocolate sauce, the cherry on top. What are you cooking on over there?
A lot of sausage making for sure here. Good quality meat to start with. Well, Service Finder really, this is about 3-year project to take Service Finder that it's been out there. We probably have about 25% of our clients actually own that product. And it was really our first browser-based product that we released about 10 years ago. And we've made a lot of good improvements, but really we wanted all of our products to look the same, just like Plus and Viewfinder, all those products there we're having fun with. So Service Finder went through a full makeover, and we've added some amazing functionality. So mainly Service Finder was a fleet maintenance product, which is great. We want to go beyond that. We want to go at full asset management. Clearly, you can still manage your fleet with this product, but we want you to manage anything you could possibly manage, whether it's the lawnmowers or even the furnaces. There's meters, readings that you could take, whether it's automatic data comes in through maybe your fuel system or your GPS system. Or you could have every 6 months, I want to change my filters in my furnaces, throughout the building. And it's really going to change this industry. We feel really excited about that. Again, we're going to make sure we solve the fleet maintenance and really the preventative maintenance, all that, all those services. But we really are going to go beyond that. We feel that this system is going to be used for anything that you want to manage that has to be on a schedule maintenance. So yeah, super excited, Tom.
Excellent. All right. Another trend that's kind of dominating national headlines is the headline of AI, right? So everybody's like scared of AI. They're worried about it. There's deep fakes going on online. How does AI really apply to the student transportation industry short term, and kind of what is your thoughts on long-term applications of the technology as we see it kind of proliferate throughout different industries?
Short term, let me start with short term with AI. We think AI is really great for what we do, for the routing algorithm. Routing algorithm is known as, one and done, that you route once, midsummer, and then you're done. Well, we don't think that's the case. We think things change, traffic patterns change, the time of the year change, morning versus afternoon change. So AI, you throw AI into our routing algorithm, and I start realizing, well, on Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's better to take that road instead of the one that's planned for Monday, because you're going to save 3-4 minutes, and 3-4 minutes for 500 of your buses will start adding up really fast. So the way we see as artificial intelligence is that if you start baking that data and it starts learning, especially for routing purposes, wow, there's a ceiling on this, Tony, because we don't want to make it so fluid that every single day a driver is thinking, man, the system's not making me want to dig this turn instead of the one I did yesterday. It better really save you a lot, right? It better save you like 5 minutes for me to change my life every single day. 30 seconds, to me, it's not worth this disruption. So clearly, we got to make sure we dial it down or dial it up, whatever you want to call it. So I see short-term AI, and we've been doing this with our travel scenarios. So really, we'd say bake your local knowledge into the system. That's really what that is. So baking your information into our system is giving our system intelligence, right? We always talked about that. Long term, yeah, I think long term is having really all this data, and it's a lot of information. Again, it's got to be fed a lot of information. But if we could see with a chat GPT, really, you could feed it data very fast. So I'm not sure how fast, but I could see a way that parents could use their phone and remove their student, maybe their kid, maybe tomorrow morning. We don't need transportation, or almost like on the fly, and then data just changes. I'm a little bit worried about it. Again, what we do here is routing algorithm experts, that it could be so many changes, and our driver is going to be okay with it. Our driver is going to be like, oh my goodness, why is it changing so much? And like I said, it has to be significant results. It can't just be small, because the impact on the community will be immense. So I'm excited about it, especially for routing algorithm, that it learns as, again, think about this. Now you look at every January. How many January routing do you need in order to realize, oh, wow, we could actually make some changes every January from now on? So I'm excited. I think there's definitely use case for what we do, Tony. I am. No deep fake on our side. I don't see any deep fake here.
That's interesting too. It's probably not. I mean, we were talking internally about what it would feel like. Is it a customer service thing? Kind of what you're saying. Like, is there a parent interface? Is there a way for parents to interact with some AI system at the school district, so the school district's not taking as many inbound phone calls, only if it requires maybe a higher level of a more complicated question? Could the system be intuitive enough? Is there an interface between the software and applications?
Definitely.
And I guess time will tell to see how all it kind of unpacks, but it's a huge national topic right now, and we only see it kind of spooling up.
Well, the worry about it is that the human touch, right? We have to train ourselves to be okay with not having a human touch. And unfortunately, COVID taught us to be a little less human. We're, a little bit separated from each other. Unfortunately, COVID did do that. So maybe, this is going to take off after all. But I'm seeing that if I'm calling someplace and it's really, I need an answer right now. Do I want to press numbers or say, hey, Alexa, help me with this? If it's ordering a 6-pack of 7-Up, maybe it's okay. I could do that with Alexa. But if I have a real issue and I need an answer right now, I think, I don't know. Time will tell, right?
Yeah, I mean, you see products like Amazon Assistant or Alexa or whatever, and it's like, I saw a demonstration with Google at their earnings report where it said, hey, Google Assistant, make a call at the salon for me and book me an appointment between 1 and 3 p.m. on Saturday. And there's an automated computer voice that calls and makes the appointment and talks to the other person on the other line as if it's human, but it's not. And also there's people emulating music artists' voices. And so it's become kind of almost a copyright issue in some aspects, right? When you start to look at it from that side. So there's just a lot there to kind of take in. Is it an automated voice that's calling a parent? Hi, this is Sally from transportation. Your child's been dropped off. But that's totally computerized. That's not like a real person, but it appears to be, right? So is that kind of going to be the transaction between the school and the family? Maybe.
It could be.
So we have a panel discussion that I have you on at STN EXPO in Reno with a few other guests, and we're talking about future technology, and AI is going to be part of that dialogue. That's going to be on Monday, July 17th in the morning. I think it's around 10-ish. We got a great conversation lined up, so looking forward to talking to a live audience about that topic and really getting their reaction from school transportation professionals and
Definitely.
Really unpacking this a little more. But that's going to be fun. And so speaking of STN EXPO, Transfinder and STN launched an idea called Top Transportation Teams. Last year, we announced that we were going to be leaning in to really identify what it takes to be a top transportation team. And Transfinder kind of reached out to its customers to kind of get more engaged. You want to kind of give us an update on where that stands, Tony?
Well, we just released a employee survey. So now they have 25 questions to put in, answer. It's a rating scale 1 to 10 on various questions. I'll give you one is I am proud to work here. So again, it's from 1 to 10, whether you disagree that you're proud to work at your company or you're agree that you are proud. So these are the type of questions. We do have things in there that I'm paid fairly. We think those are important. We're asking all these things. And also there's going to be things about accountability, our goals and accountability clear to everyone on the team. These are really good questions there. And by the way, we're going to be sharing with the teams that who is the top, who really scored the highest. And don't be afraid. Maybe you're not going to be a winner, but then you could see, well, what are the parts that you need to work on, right? Again, there's a lot of things about managers. I feel well supported by my manager. That's a good question, right? I mean, how do people score? Again, it's completely anonymous. We want to make sure that no one's going to see what they actually scored, but you're going to get an overall score. And again, I feel well supported by my manager. That's a big one. To me, you either won from strongly, you disagree that you're not supported. And again, what does that mean? Maybe you need to communicate with your people better. So these are things that I'm super excited about. We're already getting a good amount of response from just our email. And we're going to keep reminding everybody, hey, don't forget, please respond to the survey. And Tony, we're going to definitely pick the winner at STN in July.
Excellent. I know we also have a panel discussion lined up with Transfinder, a lunch and learn on Monday as well, where you guys are going to be doing a session on the culture of a top performing team. You're going to have a panel of different districts and partners and really unpack that a little bit for us. And that'll be part of that top teams awards presentation and discussion. And, very interested in seeing how you represent the data that comes from your top team survey. And that's really exciting. It's exciting for us to kind of bring this full circle and really kind of do it. It's a big lift to have, school districts want to participate and then actually have their staff fill out a survey to really look introspectively at how they're performing. I think it's difficult for people to really do that. So, applaud them for being brave and willing and open to open themselves up to really get some real information back on their team and how they really feel about the organization or the district and the management. And, I love that question. Are you proud to work here?
Right.
That is a great question. Maybe someone's not. Maybe they're embarrassed. Or maybe they are proud, right? It's great to know that as an organization.
Right. And we have so many of those questions. So many of these questions, it just makes a lot of sense. And of course, we also want to know how many years you've been with your current employer, because it does matter. Maybe your newer people have a different feel for your organization than the ones that have been with you longer. Well, then maybe are you training them differently? Are they seeing it different? Or maybe the ones that have been with you for a while are not motivated anymore. Maybe they need some conversation. Maybe you need to empower them. Again, there's so many things about that is that, like, here, I'm going to give you another one. I clearly understand how my performance is measured. That's a big one. I know that everyone at Transfinder wants to be successful. They know what does that mean to be a successful team player at Transfinder. And we have to constantly keep defining what success looks like. Just because people get paid every couple of weeks or so, that doesn't mean it's success on either side. Getting a paycheck to me is just bare minimum. What goes above and beyond? And again, these are things that we've learned from many years of, making some silly mistakes too. And the way we realize that, wow, communication is key, but also how you communicate. How do you make sure that some rumor mills, whatever you want to call it, are squashed immediately? And sometimes you just face the music. You own it. Hey, if you goofed up, and you say, yeah, we're going to do a better job next time. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's just being professional. And maybe, Tony, maybe it's an understatement, but just being an adult, that's really it, right? We're not kids anymore. And let's be adults. And that's one of those things that maybe we deal with kids all day long, but doesn't mean we have to be kids. We have to be adults. And so I think that's important, that let's make sure that we do the right thing. And one of my favorite questions is always about, do you recommend this organization to other people? And I think this is where you're going to see it, right? Do you recommend? Would you recommend? And by the way, you should score high, because that's how you're going to get some more drivers, right? If the drivers recommend to work at their place, it's a good thing. And if they're not, fix that, because that's almost free publicity when your own employees are helping you recruit. So, Tony, we're going to have a lot of fun. I know the discussions, no matter how much time you give us, we know it's not enough, but it's going to be fun. And it's our first time at it. And we're going to hopefully continue this for a long time.
Yeah, culture, top teams, always top of mind for leaders in the school transportation organization. I really thank you for coming on. We really look forward to seeing you here at STN EXPO in Indianapolis. Literally, we're on the button within days, and then we'll see you in STN EXPO Reno with the bigger team and the whole presentation. And we'll be really looking forward to reporting more on top transportation teams, as well as culture and technology and the future of AI. There's just so much there. So really looking forward to it, Tony. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank you, everybody.
A special thanks to Antonio Civitella. Outstanding conversation. Mr. Ryan, great. Thanks for all your hard work, Ryan, bringing STN EXPO together. Indianapolis, we're ready. We're amped up. So much good stuff. And then STN EXPO in Reno right behind it, like literally 6 weeks later. We had a great Memorial Day over the weekend. It was fun, relaxing, but now we got to get to work, man. Put in the work. So we're pumped to see you guys this summer. Can't wait for all the great things. Guys, we couldn't do this podcast without our episode sponsors. Special thanks to Transfinder, First Student, and Vera Mobility. Guys, remember stnonline.com for all the latest school transportation information, updates, product releases. We got it all. Also, you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to pods. Guys, get it out on social media. Share this with your friends, your colleagues. Make sure they stay informed on all the latest happenings in the school transportation industry. Guys, we love you. We're going to see you this summer. Can't wait for it. Enjoy school off. A little bit of time off, maybe before summer school. But keep listening to the podcast all summer long. We got you every week. We'll see you next week, guys. We love you.